206 kilometres now as we face up to stage number 5 from Orbetello, and then we turn inland from the west coast after we've circumnavigated Rome and nip up to that lovely wine region of Frascati. Well, it's still a very narrow race at the top, Paul, but they're still trying. Bartoli still looking for just 1 second now. He just needs a good result.
He certainly does, and he would love to get the pink jersey onto his shoulders. But, you know, the riders all day have been on the Via Aurelia, the big motorway that goes down the western coast of the peninsula of Italy. And today they're looking to try and pull it all back together. Interesting to note, Phil, that over the last 10 or 15 kilometres, there have been a lot of red jerseys at the front of the Seiko team trying to pull back these two guys. A man going through there for Mapei was Misaglia. He, in fact, has been joined there by one of the Balan riders wearing number 37, Canzonieri. But you can see the speed of the main field. They're going to end up back in the fold.
And the bad news for Gonchar is at the Inter Giro at around about 80 kilometres today. A second place for Bartoli and a 4-second time bonus has given him the overall lead now by 3 seconds. So it means that Gonchar must get in the result here, and that's highly unlikely. He's a time trialer, not a sprinter. And the way the Red Guard are going, it looks to me as though this might be giving us the first stage victory of Cipollini. At least they think so.
Well, I think they've been given the nod today. This is the first time we've really seen the Red Guard of Seiko Cannondale looking like a good squad here. There at the back there of that line, wearing number 1, is Mario Cipollini. He's the man now who is looking to get himself. In fact, that was Van Gotti wearing number 1. I'm so used to seeing Cipollini as the leader of the squad, but Gotti has number 1 as last year's winner. But certainly Mario Cipollini will be in there very close to the riders there, setting the pace for him at the front of this long line, because he will be thinking about a great stage victory for himself. But over the last few days, he really has had a hard time. And in fact, the two leaders there still out in front by a fraction.
Just a fraction, though. Canzonieri is setting the pace there, and with him is Misaglia. But I think they're going to be swept up. The challenge will be happy. But as far as the man in red is concerned, Cipollini, he just wants the stage win to tell the Italian tifosi he really is in this race, because we haven't seen him until now. There he is, 6.85 kilometres to go, and he is waiting for the lead out to start.
And always these stages at the Tour of Italy, even though they're supposed to be for the sprinters, they put a little climb in towards the finish just to sort out the men from the boys. And you can see the gap starting to appear in the main field there. And there's only 2 riders from Seiko left on the front to try and help Mario Cipollini get to the finish line in an ideal position.
And the one thing is now his ex-teammate Silvio Martinello now rides for Polti, and his arrival in this race. And Martinello, who used to be a lead-out man for Cipollini, is a very dangerous sprinting rival now. And I'm sure we've got one Polti rider there, Paul, in 3rd place. I'm not sure it's Martinello or not. Looks a bit small for him.
Well, you can see everybody's queuing up for Mario Cipollini's wheel there. He's up into 2nd position, a little early to be so high up in the main field, but they're not far from the finish line. Again, Bartoli on the outside, trying to get points.
And something almost happened there. Somebody fell today on side our camera, but there was a big shout from the crowd as the riders came round that bend. I think they almost collided with our camera. Anyway, they continued to the finish as we switched to our finishing camera here. I think we lost one there as the riders now come for the line. And here he comes, Cipollini on the tops of the handlebars, making it look oh so easy. Well, I'm sorry we lost a little bit of the shots there, but I really think we lost a cameraman on that far bend. And Cipollini, well, he's never happy than when he's winning. And that is his 22nd stage win of the Giro d'Italia, and he's on course to try and snatch Eddie Merckx's record, post-war that is, of 25. Here's the sprint again. He makes it look oh so easy. Martinello is right on his shoulder there, and Bartoli doesn't get a bonus either. That's the situation now. So, there he is, Mario Cipollini, calling everybody forward while he covers them in champagne, no doubt. Here comes the champers. This man, a pure entertainer. Look at those legs. He actually won that sprint with his hands on the brake levers, can you believe? The power of this man, and the cameramen daring to creep back in for the photograph. But overall, Mikela Bartoli will now be called on board for the pink jersey, and there he is. He leads Gonchar by 3 seconds, 1 out on the course today. Mariano Piccoli still challenges there in 3rd place. They're the top 3, and I make Marco Vello lying 4th and Alex Zülle up into 5th slot in the overall classification. So a long motorway journey this morning for the riders before they get to start the 6th stage of 158 kilometres from Maddaloni down to Lago Lacerno. And a few ripples on the course today, Paul. 3 mountains taking them over the 1,000 metres point.
Not major mountains. The big mountains don't come until the very last week, but certainly this is a good course for racing over, because in the last 50 kilometers the riders go twice over 1,200 meters, and that is going to make it very difficult indeed. These two guys have managed to get out off the front, but there's a lot of pressure in the main field behind. That's Scamboluri at the front there, second in the World Championships in 1996 for under 23, but behind you can see now the main field is starting to react, and a lot of gaps in there.
And the other rider, Alessandro Baronti of Catena Tolo. And now we've got the leader in the King of the Mountains there, just coming over the top, Bettini. But he's not the real leader at the moment. Piccoli is, I think he's got the jersey on loan as second in the competition, but he's got points there as he comes over the top. And now the field trying to get a little breakaway going here.
In fact, those two leaders pulled back into the fold pretty rapidly there over the top of that climb. We're looking now at the Frenchman Frédéric Bessy, wearing number 66 from the Casino team, the dominant team on the international circuit this year, and he's been joined once again by one of the riders from Balan, and that's Nicola Loda. And the main field don't seem too worried about those two guys getting off the front and riding very close to the front. Resplendent in his pink jersey is the overall leader there, Mikela Bartoli.
Well, he's having a great opening week of the Tour. He's aimed for the pink, he's got the pink, and he's still very much feeling strong there as he rides near the front of the race. Here comes Bessy, 26 years of age, and the team on a high.
Very difficult last 9 kilometers to the stage here. Only 158 kilometers long, but in the last 9 kilometers they climbed from 600 meters to almost 1,100 meters, and that is where the difficult attacks are going to come amongst the leaders overall. And for the first time we get a chance to see some of the riders from the Mapei squad there coming to the front, because they too will be thinking that Pavel Tonkov has a good chance of victory in the overall standings, and the advantage of our two leaders just 40 seconds over the main field.
Well, this is Tonkov's big time of the year. He's never failed to have a great Giro d'Italia. He's a regular top 5 finisher, and of course he's won the race second last year after a long battle with the surprise winner Ivan Gotti, who's riding a quiet race this year and making us think that he really has not recovered any of the form. He's been complaining of poor form all year. Now the fugitives are being brought back slowly but surely here.
Well, interesting move here by number 92, yes. Johnny Bugno. His man, really, I would have expected to be doing the work, and I think he's gone to the front with just a little bit too much power, because he doesn't know what to do now. He's looking over his shoulder and saying, come on, boys, follow us.
Well, it's Nicholas Axelsen who's with him from Skriniar, but, you know, Bugno riding out his final season, and what a great career he's had. As Bettini brings the rest of the race up, Camazind is there, easy to pick out in that national championship jersey. Gotti on his wheel, last year's winner. The current race leader, Bartoli, is there. Alex Zülle is there. Marco Pantani is there. So quite clearly the strongmen feel that this race might explode sooner or later. Well, there's only 10 kilometres to go.
A lot of riders from Festina moving to the front, and our dear friend the Devil has turned out again. He really is becoming a major attraction at all of the major stage races around the world, and he must have a pretty decent sponsor to get all those holidays.
Well, he only speaks German, and now he's moved into the land of the Italians here as Festina are on the front. Now I wonder if Alex Zülle has sent the signal forward, because Zülle is moving steadily back up. Remember, he was the early leader after his victory in the prologue. He hung on after stages 1, lost the lead on stage 2 to Gonchar, who's in turn now lost that lead to Bartoli down there. Now, is Zülle feeling that this is actually quite a long climb, Paul, and there's the gradient, 21%. It's not so steep, but it's a hard climb, this.
It's a hard climb. It's in fact, Mikela Bartoli's decided it's hard enough for him, because he's come out to the front of the main field. Obviously, the main field's slowing down a little there, and he felt this was a time to try and launch an attack. But look at the man marking him straight away. There is Marco Pantani, the pirate. This man, certainly after that accident 2 years ago, Phil, I reckon he's back.
Well, it's a short stretch of 1 in 5 in old parlance here, and that's just the sort of gradient where this man comes out of his shell. He's 26, but he's only 41 seconds off the Maglia Rosa. And Buenahora, I think it is, who's come up behind him. No, it's Kepi Gonzalez who's come up behind him from Kelme. And just behind him is a Bartoli. No, he's not anymore. Bartoli's dropped out of it.
Well, Bartoli was up there. He's the man who launched the attack initially. I'm obviously over-assuming on his possibilities. That, in fact, is Gotti who's moved up there. The pink jersey still safely in the front of the main group of what is now looking like just 10 riders, but also moving very close to the front was Alex Zülle. But look at this. Marco Pantani now putting the pressure on. He's decided, even though this is not one of the major climbs of the Tour of Italy, he's going to try them out.
It's lovely to see him do it. He just relishes getting onto these climbs. He runs straight at them. It's good for Gotti here, and he needs the confidence, I think, so it's good to see him riding second wheel. Well, he's dropped back a little bit now because the pressure has gone on, and just the tempo being set by Pantani is hurting the whole field.
Well, nobody, I don't think, in international cycling can climb as well as Marco Pantani. He's able to explode on the slopes of a climb much faster than anybody else, and the only thing you can do to handle him is just to let him go and try and use the climb at your own pace. There is Pavel Tonkov moving into that group of what now is a very select group of riders. On the back there, you can see Luc Leblanc, another rider moving in there as well from the Polti squad. That, I think, looks very much to me like Giuseppe Guerini, but the man really doing the damage is Marco Pantani.
Well, here is Pantani. We're not really interested where he is in the interior sprint competition, are we? But nonetheless, Pantani here, now heading up to what he hopes will be a stage victory. A man who keeps on telling us this course isn't for him, but he never gives up trying.
Well, he's the kind of rider who will use every opportunity and try and take as much advantage as he can. The reaction now coming from Mikela Bartoli. But as you said earlier, Phil, this, in fact, is the shortest Tour of Italy in 3 years. And, in fact, there's the least amount of climbing in the last 3 years as well. So, certainly, I would have to agree with Pantani. The course does not suit him to perfection, but he's trying on every occasion to grapple a few seconds away from the leaders.
Well, if you're Italian, you've got to put on a show, and they always expect Il Perato to be somewhere in the thick of the action. There's Luc Leblanc, never far away from the front either. Very aggressive bike rider and riding at a steady tempo.
The main group there now being led by Vladimiro Belli. He wears number 71, but certainly the leader in that team must be Alex Zülle. Almost getting across to Marco Pantani. Mikela Bartoli in the pink jersey. Just goes to show what kind of form he's come to this year's Tour of Italy in, because to be able to match a man like Marco Pantani on the climb shows that this little Italian, who really so far has made a name for himself as a one-day rider, is riding perfectly into the shape of a man who's going to be great in the stage races to come. And Luc Leblanc has realised the danger, and he too is trying to get across.
Well, this is the tough section. Approximately 2.5 miles of real good climb here for these riders, and Pantani's gone early on to try and open a gap. Now Bartoli has been joined by Luc Leblanc, the former champion of France and indeed a former world champion. The main field is splitting up, Paul. It looks like 8, 9, maybe 10 chasers here.
Well, Belli's on the front there. Right on his wheel is Alex Zülle and all the big leaders of this year's Tour of Italy at the front of the race for the first time so far. This is when the big decisions are going to be made for the first time in the Tour of Italy, and we haven't even finished a week's racing. Mikela Bartoli trying to get across. You can just see the shadow of Marco Pantani going around the corner there, but the crowd, obviously, they don't know who to shout for, because the two strongest men in the race so far are the Italians.
Well, Bartoli needs to limit the escape of Pantani to 41 seconds. Well, less actually because of the small time bonuses. The crowd here are running at the same speed as Pantani, who's concentrating desperately on the job in hand. I wouldn't get too close. He's apt to swing out with that left and knock one of them out of the way. But here come the next two right behind. Look at this, the Tifosi in full cry.
Well, this is madness. This is Italian madness in May. This is what the Tour of Italy is all about. The crowd get in there and they support the man who they think is the greatest. And Marco Pantani is one of those riders who really is so magnificent to see him riding on the climbs. But he's not firing on all cylinders, Phil, because certainly he hasn't opened up a major advantage over Mikela Bartoli, who on a climb like this should not really be able to rival Pantani.
Well, they just love him, don't they? But he's picked up the tempo a bit now, maybe to drop them. But, of course, they're coming out of the bushes now to run alongside him. Here's the race behind. Tonkov's in a little bit of trouble, Paul. He's lost ground there.
Well, Tonkov was trying to stay with this group, and you can see he wasn't able to stay on the wheel of the rest of the group with him. There is Guerini in front of Luc Leblanc, and they're trying to stay very close together. And look at this. In fact, Rebellin as well was in the group there, but the man doing the damage is Marco Pantani, 101 on his jersey there, and he really is opening up the gaps. 21 is Mikela Bartoli. There's Luc Leblanc, and Alex Zülle now pulling himself into the race.
Oh, Zulle's unbelievable the way he's crossed that gap. Despite all the atmosphere, the adrenaline must be flowing now in all of these top bike riders, because the crowd are transmitting it to them and they're trying to keep their man in the front. But look at Zülle now responding to the occasion. This man who speaks fluent Spanish and indeed fluent Dutch as he races across the gap here. He's gone through them, he's gone past Mikela Bartoli. He wants now Marco Pantani.
Amazing move there by Zülle, but what a reaction by Mikela Bartoli. That guy has got so much courage, it's unbelievable. He saw the attack coming from Zülle. He's all over his machine now. Look how he gets down low in that position to try and find a little bit more energy to try and get onto the back wheel of Alex Zülle, who has now caught Marco Pantani, and it's all back together.
Well, it should be about 4 hours of racing today because it's just on 100 miles, but it's been a real tough race, this one, and this is becoming quite an interesting tour. 5 kilometres to go, and they should catch Alex here as they start to go downhill. He's not the cleverest of descenders.
Well, it's a very easy finish for Alex Zülle over the top of this climb because, in fact, it's almost flat down towards the finish line. 3.5 kilometres from the top of this climb, and Pantani leapt across the gap there, but you can see the pink jersey not having an easy ride here this afternoon because he couldn't match the acceleration of Marco Pantani there, and he's looking for some help to come from Luc Leblanc to try and pull himself up to the 2 leaders. But look at the speed of Alex Zülle, and now it looks as if Bartoli's in difficulty.
Bartoli dangling here and gambling because if he allows them just a few seconds, he'll lose that pink jersey. We've got Zülle, Leblanc, Bartoli and Pantani there in the front. There is a chase group behind being led by Davide Rebelan and Vladimir Belli and Nicola Micheli and Giuseppe Guerini. We have seen something of them. Zayn is there as well.
Well, over the top of the climb, Alex Zülle now leading. Marco Pantani wasn't able to match that next attack there, and he's going over the summit 8 seconds adrift with Luc Leblanc, but the pink jersey a little bit further back, 13 seconds in arrears, so he really is suffering this afternoon.
I think he's done well to limit the attacks, considering it's been Pantani turning the screw. All being well, Bartoli should get back and conserve that pink jersey, but he's going to worry too about the whereabouts now of Alex Zülle, because he's a higher placed rider than Pantani, and Zülle, if he gets away, could open a big enough gap to take over the race lead.
Well, he's on the ground that suits him now. He's a great time trialist, Alex Zülle, and he's really opened up the advantage. 15 seconds I made it over the chasing group, and they've obviously slowed down because Mikela Bartoli in the pink jersey has recovered just a little bit to get onto the back of Pantani and Luc Leblanc. But look at this, Phil. The face on Alex Zülle here. He knows now that he's got to give it everything. Just about 2 kilometres to go to the finish line for him. They're on the plateau. There's the lake in the background, and he is now looking at taking the pink jersey off the shoulders of Mikela Bartoli.
Well, if the gap is 15 seconds, then we have a new pink jersey on the road, and here he is, Alex Zülle. He lost the lead on stage 2. He's now trying to reclaim it on stage 6. Something of a surprise, Paul. We would have expected him to have gone in the time trial again.
Well, I thought he would wait for a little bit longer for the time trial. That gap is not 15 seconds because Mikela Bartoli has come to the front and realises the danger. He's got his head right down on that handlebar there, trying to keep the pace up. He's getting some help from Marco Pantani. The Italians working well together, and Luc Leblanc says, well, guys, I'm just happy to be here. It's up to you. And this is the chase group with all of the other leaders of the race.
Well, this group are out of it at the moment, but they're only riding about 30 seconds behind the action, and 1 kilometre to go now. Now, Zülle just needs to bury himself. That's if he wants to claim back the pink jersey, and I'm sure he does, even at this early stage of the Giro.
Well, it still is only a fraction of seconds, but into the finishing straight now. Alex Zülle looking very comfortable indeed. In a short while, he'll see the banner across the line, and that's going to be a great win for him.
But he gets a small time bonus, and that should be enough to give him the pink jersey as he crossed the line for a road race win in a stage race. That's a rare occurrence for Alex Zülle. Pantani taking a look at Bartoli. I think Bartoli will finish it off for second place. Luc Leblanc might try to tackle him, but Pantani can expect to finish 4th. But the speed of Bartoli isn't going to give Leblanc much of a chance here. So he will get the second place bonus, but the clock is telling us the answer. He loses the pink jersey, having held it for just a day. And there's the rider who takes it away from him. Alex Zülle has bounced back for Festina, and that team will be glad they signed him now from Once because he's come good in the Tour. He's back in the Maglia Rosa. Indeed he is, and now we're on to the 7th stage, Montella to Montera, 238 kilometres. Alex Zülle now leading the race by 13 seconds over Bartoli, 50 seconds over Luc Leblanc, and Pavel Tonkov now in 4th place, just under a minute behind.
An excellent move by Alex Zülle yesterday, really. A masterpiece of tactical manoeuvring there because he put himself into the right position to take the pink jersey back without too much difficulty. But it's great to see the Australian rider, Matty White, this year riding for the Amore Vita team after, in fact, passing professional for the Australian Institute for Sport team, which is now defunct. And he now is being chased by Gianni Farrazin, the Italian champion.
Under the last kilometre to go banner. and the Mercatoni Uno team on the attack. And again, not the coordination of the sprinters. This has not been a very exciting stage at all. Most of the field are here in the big bunch sprint, where the King of the Mountains has been disputed between Bettini, but it's back on the shoulders again of Piccoli, who won the final climb of the day.
Well, moving up there, you can see looking again for the bonuses, Mikela Bartoli, and it looks as if the rider from Pantani's team here has got the advantage, but they're all coming back together in third place there in the Ciclamina jersey as leader of the points competition, Mikela Bartoli.
So Bartoli will try and snatch the bonus here, but he's going to have a job on his hands. Remember, the pink jersey now is Zülle. He won't contest this sprint now. But watch out for the big man Cipollini. He's right there in centre picture, and again sprinting so quickly. Once he sees the line, there's nobody going to get on his shoulder. Baldato was the rider in second, and the Kelme rider must have been Angel Edo. And I think Glenn Magnusson of Sweden was there as well. Well, that is win number 23 for Mario Cipollini in pursuit of the record of Eddie Merckx at 25. And Baldato, gritting his teeth on the left, just could not get alongside him at all. So overall, Zülle is now in the pink, 11 seconds ahead of Mikela Bartoli. And third place, 50 seconds back, is Luc Leblanc. Pavel Tonkov, 56 seconds back. The fifth place rider is Paolo Salvadelli, a teammate of Cipollini, 57 seconds down. On to the 8th stage now, heading down towards the most southern point of the course, Paul. Weather always guaranteed, and as usual, it's hot.
It certainly is. Over 35 degrees Celsius this afternoon, and these riders taking a very early roll away from the town of Montera. But the southernmost tip of the race, Lecce, is something the riders will be looking forward to, because from here onwards, they'll be heading north towards the mountains.
And the race today hasn't seen too many attacks, Paul, but I guess we would have expected that. And now look at this, Cipollini back on board. And this is an onboard camera, by the way, on one of Cipollini's teammates' bikes.
Well, this is what it looks like when you're leading out Mario Cipollini. What a great formation the Seiko Cannondale team is. A big, long line there, every rider setting the pace, but they're being challenged there very much on the left-hand side by Polti and obviously by Silvio Martinello, the man who used to be Cipollini's own lead-out man. And this is the chaos in the main field.
But remember, Cipollini's tail is up now. He's had 2 stage wins so far, and he's only 2 short of the record. And Martinello would like to break it all up for him, but they're all coming up to the line together now. And in fact, Endrio Leone's team's also having a go to get them to the front as well. So the sprinters, this could be the first real sprint of the day here, because Bartoli has been swept away from the action because the big boys are firing now, and the big boy is coming through again. Mario Cipollini has no equal on the line, and Martinello second again. Leone got third. What a result. And that means now that Mario Cipollini has enjoyed win number 24. And in fact, that camera was on the bike of the man himself.
Well, a great risk to take, but there he's got the jersey on his shoulders of Inter Milan, and I have to tell you one thing, Phil, this man really loves to play for the crowd, and that jersey on his shoulders is going to cost him a few more Swiss francs, but for Mario Cipollini, that's not a problem.
Does he care? He's a great football supporter as well, and he's an extrovert. He's having his own private battle on board there now. Now they've made way for Alex Zülle, still the leader of the Tour, and still the man to beat.